Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday the 3rd of September. I'm out here at Campbell's Lane on Middle Arm Road. Campbell's Lane over there, Middle Arm Road, that way. It is, let's look at 7 degrees at the moment and 18 minutes past 7. And so I'm 6.24 kilometres into my run. I turn around and run back the way I came. For the local folks, that's to the car park next to the dog park behind the tillage up there on Riverside Park near the inclusive playground. And so just running back, and I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things to do with the Sydney Marathon that's just been run. So if you want to hear my thoughts about that, keep the volume up. If not, just turn it down and enjoy the scenery. So never have I run a marathon of any sort, never mind the Sydney Marathon. I've never run that distance. I have run the half marathon distance a few times. I'd probably say half a dozen times, and I feel reasonably confident and capable of doing that. And I don't necessarily do any special training. It's just every now and again I get this thing in my head, and so I think I'll try and run a half marathon distance today. So I have never run a marathon. That's important for what I'm going to say in this talk. And secondly, I've never owned or seen or worn a pair of the magic shoes, as I refer to them. That is the new breed, if you like, of running shoes with the carbon fibre rod in them and built up chunky heel and all that sort of stuff. And that's important too, because as I say, I've never worn them, so I don't know what they feel like. I've never even seen them except in pictures. I see almost all the new running shoes now seem to have a similar sort of design that looks a bit like that. Not always the technology, the carbon fibre rod and the price tag, but they look a bit like that. And I see some people at my local park run who wear shoes that look a lot like the magic shoes. But again, as I said, I've never worn them, never owned them, never even seen them, and that's important. So first of all, congratulations to the organisers of the Sydney Marathon. You had put in some hard work over the previous few years in order to become one of the Abbott Group 7 major marathons of the world, and now you're part of that group, and apparently you put on a pretty good event. The course, according to all the media that I've seen, was pretty good in the sense that it had a bit of everything, a bit of uphill, bit of downhill, a bit of flat. So it's challenging without being too difficult. It was scenic in that it showcased the city, as I heard one or two commentators saying, not during the event because I didn't watch it, but on social media afterwards. And despite there being opposing protest marches in Sydney on the day of the marathon, as far as I can determine, there were no problems. Nobody ran onto the course anywhere. Nobody interfered with the runners. So well done. You did a good job. And it's claimed that you brought millions of dollars into the Sydney economy, because obviously the people who live locally, who came in, probably a lot of them stayed overnight somewhere in a hotel, so they'd be at the start line fresh in the morning. Certainly lots of overseas visitors who would have flown in maybe even a day or two earlier. They spend their money in restaurants and whatever. So, all round, he did a pretty good job. Congratulations to both the winners. Bloody Mary, I think his name is, the Ethiopian who was the first person to cross the line, the first, and won the men's category. And I can't remember her name, I think it's Safina, the Dutch woman who was the first woman over the line. And I think I'm correct in crediting her with having won the 5k, 10k and marathon at the Paris Olympics. So congratulations to both of them. Kipchoge, who was a sentimental favourite, if not the actual favourite, came in 9th, and he has nothing to prove. 40 years old. I think I saw that he'd run 40 marathons and had a podium finish, as people say, in 23 of those, and a 3-time Olympic champion. So he's got nothing to prove to anybody. But at 40, time is probably catching up with him. He'll still be able to run for another 30 or more years, given the fact that I'm 72 and I'm still doing it, and he's probably a lot fitter than I am. So he's probably got a lot of running years left in him, and maybe even for a little while longer. His name will be good in attracting entries to running events and giving them a credibility they might not have, or enhance the credibility by the fact that his name is attached to the event. Now, to my gripes, if you like, and I don't want to sound like some grumpy, miserable old bloke, I do have a couple of things to say. As I said at the start, I've never run a marathon, but I know that any running event, whether it's 5, 10, half, full, ultra, or whatever, there are two features, two things that determine your ability to do that. One is the physical side of you. How fit are you? How good has your training been? What's your diet been like? Have you had the right fuel? You hydrated, done all that sort of stuff. The physical condition that your body is in on the day you go out to do this event. And then there's the mental side. And I reckon with something like a marathon and beyond, the mental side is as important, if not more important, than the physical. You can train, you can do your program and your block of training and all that sort of stuff. And when you're out on the course and your legs are feeling like lead and you're cramping up a little bit, just feeling fatigued and asking yourself, why the hell am I doing this? What's wrong with me? What must be mental or something? It's the mental side that will give you the mental uppercut, if you like, to say, just keep going. Just run to the next white pole up there. Just run the next kilometre. And then you'll be one less to run and so on. And it's that mental side that keeps you going. And why I'm mentioning that is because I don't think that side of the effort that runners put in, especially marathoners and beyond, is given enough credence or enough credit. Because a lot of the social media postings that I saw, a lot of the commentary that I've seen after the Sydney Marathon has been, what shoes was that person wearing? And I've seen pictures of the winner's shoes with the time underneath and the brand and the model and all that stuff for the top 5 finishes, male and female, and all that stuff. And I even sat through a 10-minute video the other night where a bloke was talking about all of those shoes and the various features. I have to say I didn't understand much of what he was saying, but it seemed to me that it was the shoe that had done the work. Now, it's certainly true that a good comfortable shoe makes a difference between a good run and an uncomfortable run, but it's not the shoe that gets you pumping when one leg over the other. It's not the shoe that gives you the mental toughness to keep going when you're getting to the top of this hill and thinking, I don't know if I can make it, maybe I should stop there, maybe I'll walk for a while, or something like that. And there's study after study that suggests, yes, the shoes do give you some advantage, but it's a slim one. It's the physical ability, the training, the mental strength, all those things that make for a successful run. And a successful run, in my book, is you get to the start line, you run the course, and you cross the finish line. And yes, of course, you're going to be thinking about your time and so on. And if you are the winner, it's really important here because you might set a record, might be a PB for you, set a record for the course. There's world ranking points, there's prize money, there's all that sort of stuff involved. And shoe companies and their fitfluencers, as they're called, what a horrible word that is, fitfluencer, somebody who uses their own fitness and training to flog stuff to other people that in most cases the fitfluencer got for free, probably didn't disclose at the start of their video, I got these free shoes, I got this watch, I get free gels, whatever, that in many cases Joe and Josephine average runner, they don't need them. They don't need them. And so it's human nature, I guess, to want to say, well, that guy won that event and I'm a runner, and if I get those shoes, then that'll improve my performance. And perhaps it will, because I talked about that placebo effect before. Like you go to the doctor and tell the doctor what's wrong, and he says, well, you take this and you'll feel better. In actual fact, what he's giving you is a sugar pill that has no medical qualities at all, because there is nothing to treat whatever's wrong with you. But the sugar pill won't do you any harm, and you take it and suddenly you feel better. And you feel better because, well, like you said, the medicine will make you feel better. So that's called the placebo effect. So in running, there's that element too. Take this gel, eat this gel, and you'll run better. If you're running 5k, have a gel before you go, and you'll run better. Or put these shoes on, and they'll improve your performance by whatever. And maybe they will, and maybe, as I said, it's the placebo effect. So I seem to be sort of rambling on here, but I wanted to say first of all, congratulations and well done to everybody that was in any way associated with the Sydney Marathon. If you're one of the 35,000 that is claimed did the event, well done. If you got to the start line and made it to the finish line before the cut-off time, well done to you too. The shoes and the magic gels and the belt you can carry around your waist that has your water bottles and your phone and got all that other stuff, they're not the things that make you complete that run. And I just wanted to express some thoughts about that and say, let's put in perspective here. It's the person, the athlete, the runner, who turns up, does their block of training, does the program their coach has worked out for them to lead up to the event. It is the physical condition they're in at the time. It is the mental state, mental strength they have that gets them through that event to the finish line. And I'll just finish on one example of that. At the Paris Olympics, Australia had 3 women running in obviously the women's marathon. 2 of those women, all 3 women you assume, had the same preparation that was carefully tailored to their particular needs. They had the nutrition taken care of, their fueling taken care of, they had the best equipment. The Australian Sports Commission, the Australian Olympic Commission, whoever buys their gear could afford or was prepared to buy for them everything that possibly could have been done to give those 3 women the best possible chance of running that race and doing well was done for them. 2 of them completed the race. 1 woman pulled out after a bit over a kilometre with cramp. So the magic shoes would have done nothing to the cramp, the gels, all the other stuff that the Fitfluencers and the advertising companies and the shoemakers and all the other bits and pieces of equipment that you can be cajoled into buying to make your running better made no difference. She just got to the point where she was so cramped up she thought she'd run it out and she couldn't, and she just had to step off the course. Those are my thoughts about the Sydney Marathon, the magic shoes and so on. If you have an opinion, leave it in the appropriate spot, and when I become aware of it, I'll comment. Please comment on the content. You're welcome to disagree and tell me how the gels and the magic shoes and all that stuff made a difference to your performance, and I'm happy that they did. Have a good day, whatever you're doing. Enjoy your next run, whenever that is, and if you're in a race shortly, good luck. I hope you do well. Thanks for watching.